Okay, very good.
Now, good.
Good.
Thank you
So,
so much for the help and the backup here. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you, everyone. And I'm listening in, Rav Yair and Rav Amster. And if anything provokes too much, I'm going to step in. But I will Svedrat Hashem.
or the other way around, if you're not provoking enough, you have to step in.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay,
Great.
uh, okay,
Yeah.
Vatzlocha.
Thank you so much. So we're continuing with the sessions about Agadah, and we decided to take a few Agadot here to study together. Now, Agadah, you can take some from so many sources. The word Agadah, you all know what it is, right? Agadah basically. What a story. But when you talk about the Agadah, we have like Midrash Agadah, we have so many levels. Agadita as the Jewish concept. We talk, for example, in the Talmud that you have parts that are Agadita, that are more Agadati. It means it's more either storytelling or more spiritual and less with a halachic consequence. With the question of the matter of the law, it's more like the either the spiritual meaning, or that's one aspect of Agadita, or practically that you talk about a story. Agadah is something you tell about someone or something. So this is like in the very rare Rav Mattias.
No, I just wanted like also similar to the word like Haggadah. But I just wanted to say one thing that's very amazing about the Aggadot that we have in the Gemara in the Talmud. I thought of it now. Sometimes they make sense that this story comes after this discussion, but sometimes they're more random, and sometimes it's very interesting how like sometimes we have to figure out why they are in the part of the Gemara that you find them. I just like had that thought now. It's very interesting, and like
Yes, and you this discussion if it is random or not. Like
yes,
among scholars, there are people who insist that there's none of them is in a random place, and some say that it's just like a matter of the editor already had a story, so he added another story that
right.
reminded him. So there's a big difference in the approach of both in the rabbinical world and in the academy where you discuss the Agadot. And so we chose a Agadah today that I hope you will like. I don't know if you know it from before, and let's study it together. And I'm sorry in advance. I know today in everything in our times you have to have disclaimers. So I have here disclaimers that some of the content might be seen as a sexistic. Um, uh, so it's a
Sexistic
trigger
is
warning.
good.
Whoever feel uncomfortable or something like that, you're very welcome. When you study Gemara, you're welcome to feel uncomfortable. So it's part of it. If that is the case,
Oh,
if you feel uncomfortable or if it triggers you, that's great. But don't be offended.
but it's I like that because it's true. The Gemara is very like in your face. Like the Gemara doesn't like the Gemara doesn't think like if you're a sensitive person, that's your problem. Like a little bit like that, for good or for bad. But it's very like straight up.
Yes.
It's good.
Yes. So the story originally is in Aramaic, but I have here the translation to Hebrew and to English, very loyal to the original word. So so it doesn't. It's not a lot of interpretation. It's very directly the word of the Talmud. Um,
Oh,
uh,
it's your Hebrew translation.
Yes, I put the Hebrew like we discussed
Wow.
it yesterday, and I
Yeah,
wonder if
yeah,
it
yeah,
should be
yeah,
Aramaic or Hebrew. I put the Hebrew translation for those
yeah,
who
yeah.
can Hebrew, because I know that not many of our participants are fluent in Aramaic.
Yeah.
So
And
I
and and,
decided
and we'll see soon that not everyone in our story like Aramaic
is
is not
fluent either.
fluent.
Right, exactly. That's part of the story. Okay, so the story goes like this. It's about a certain Babylonian, so a guy, Ben Bavil, someone from Babylon, who went up to Eretz Israel, made Aliyah, and married a woman. He said to her, cook for me a couple of lentils. So she cooked 2 lentils for him. He he grew angry with
Yeah,
her.
right. It's good. Like it's also from the word roteach. It's so interesting. He boiled, like it became like it's sim like he like exploded on her. He got so angry.
Exactly. Ratach is like you have the boiling.
Right.
That's why the word
Right.
in the translation here, not my translation, he grew angry because you feel that
Right.
he
Right.
really. You can guess how he felt when she did that. She thought maybe she did a good joke. He said like, "Oh my God, what did I marry?" On the
Yeah.
following day, he said to her, "Kuka se'ah." Say geriva. There are two. Geriva mean it's a huge amount.
Right.
Like it's like saying cook me uh, in our language today, like cook me a ton.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a,
Like
so
something that would be very not normal for one person to eat.
not only for one, but for much
Yeah.
more. It's
Right.
not
Right.
enough for like you need a few families to eat
Right. Yeah.
much more. So she cooked a se'ah for him. She took literally what he said and cooked. I'm imagining the huge pot she used, and she cooked took everything she had in the mizaveh, everything she had in the kitchen, and cooked a huge amount of everything. And he was then he thought about this hopeless woman who only understand everything he said literally. He said to her, "Go and bring me 2 butzine." It's called butina is gourds in English. It's like kind of a small either squash or pumpkin, like something in between squash and pumpkin. Um, uh, so he asked, "Go bring
A
me
butternut
2 of these."
squash.
It was very specific. Now she knows the amount. She knows that she can't get it wrong. The word is butina in Aramaic. She went and brought him 2 lamps. Why 2 lamps? Because the word butzina in Israeli Aramaic means lamps and not these pumpkins or mini pumpkins. I mean, this woman. Really, like the third time. No, not third time, not enough. He said to her, "Go and break them on the head of the bava. Bava is the gate. Break these lamps, old these oil lamps. In the past, they were used as disposable. Like these lamps,
Right.
many times you were used as one time you burn it, then it's not nice anymore. So it's not a very so go
So,
break these lamps on the port on the bava
so
on the gate.
already then was Chad Parmi something you did in Israel. Like
Yeah,
what?
everywhere. That's why you have so many of the archaeologists have
Right.
it's
That's very
for
fun now.
it's
The
actually
shards
seen as
of the yeah.
garbage
Right.
when they're together.
Kliches, yeah.
And now
Right.
comes the unfortunate part of the story. Bava ben Buta, head of the Bava, right? The gate is called Bava. Bava ben Buta was sitting as judge at the gate. She went and broke them on his head. Poor Bava ben Buta, he sat that day was thinking, was sitting and learning and judging and doing all his obligation as a rabbi to this wonderful community, and and he doesn't understand what suddenly breaks up from the skies, and someone breaks 2 lamps, which is like it hurts. Think of a ceramic lamps. It's not an Arday's lamp. It's not a candle. It's something serious. Which 2 of them, you think of, oh my God, my mother, why did you today choose that name or out of all the names that you can give me? Give me the name Bava. So in the Aramaic, it also sounds even better. Bava ben Buta was sitting a Baba. Baba was
Yeah.
sitting a Baba at the Baba. She went and broke them on his head. He said to her, "What is this you have done?" She said to him, "This is what my husband commanded me." He said, okay. And here comes a very mighty lesson. It's very important. You can see there are quite a few women here today, so it's about time you learn this important message. You fulfilled your husband's desire. What we call the atasit retzon baalech. It's a phrase that you say in Hebrew. You did your husband's desire. May hamakom, may the omnipresent, it's another name of God, bring forth from you two sons like Bava ben Buta. So she broke two lamps on his head. Now she will have two sons as great as this rabbi Bava ben Buta, who will she will get it as a reward because she did exactly what her husband told her. Yes. What do you think of this wonderful story? It's a story from the Gemara. This story, I'm saying just to make it clear, the story doesn't come from like a book of jokes, of Jewish jokes. This is not a story that was told in a pub to laugh on these stupid women. It is written in Masechet Nedarim in the Talmud. What is your automatic reaction to this? I have to ask, like maybe Rav Mattias, before you already knows the story, but other people maybe heard it for the first time. What do you think now of our Gemara reading this? But no, try to concentrate on the story itself. Yes.
I thought it was really funny because it really does sound like a bar joke, like whatever older men say together to each other when they're like, haha, listen to this. So I thought it was quite funny, and it's interesting that he still says like, you know what? Since you've done exactly what you were told to do, um, may Hashem bring you two great sons for this. And I know I think it's funny because the thing is the Talmud is sort of like it gives the impression that it's really complicated and really like not abstract, but like really serious. So this is a very funny thing that is documented, if that makes any sense, and I really appreciate it.
I love that. Can I just, oh, Sarah, go right ahead. You can speak. Say.
I was thinking about autism. Like, yeah, that was the thought that came to my head.
I had a thought too when I read it this morning. I had a thought too because she's taking everything. It's like this is what I said
Yeah.
we're gonna do. It has to be exactly like this. Yeah, very good. I just want to make like a little bit more like even more like controversial. This is fine that we have someone from Stockholm coming to the North Beit Midrash, Baruch Hashem. My dear friend Andreas, just to see he's even here live. But I just wanted to say that. What was I going? Yeah, that when it comes to like the different mefarshim, the different rabbis who try to explain, one that I saw, which is incredible, it's the one of the Rosh, which is one of the big ones we base like a lot of halacha on the Rosh. He says, she was a shoite, which means I don't want to translate it. That means like she was an idiot. Which is very interesting. The other one, which me and Javier discussed yesterday, which I'm thinking now, is that like they spoke different dialects of Aramaic. And for me, that's where I'm sort of like starting to like get a grasp more of this Gemara, that like sometimes it could be that when you in a marriage, for example, or whatever, friends too, it could be like you think you're communicating something very clearly, and the other person doesn't understand you. And there you have like the dynamic of relationship that could be very tricky. Here it's extreme, but for me that's where I'm like sort of landing it. That like communications are always so easy, and it's here like they take it too literal. I don't know, Ravi, I feel like you have something they're holding in there.
We have to like first of all when you go into such a thing, we have of course to explain. We have to ruin the joke, right? To explain the joke. And if anyone wasn't clear, the different explanations now definitely took us to that direction. The joke is it's a linguistic joke about the gap between Eretz Israel and Babel, and the gap between what I had a discussion with my son last week. My youngest son uses the word literally all the time. And we try to explain to him, and I think it's very popular right now, the literally, and I said, no, this is not what literally means, because you think that the word literally means very much or extreme, but that literally is literally, like, and this story is literally, right? That's the whole concept of the word, and maybe that's the connection to Masechet Nedarim that we can also talk about. But it starts with the aspects of a gap. And you can say, I would say, here you have the two maybe biggest joke materials that you have in human history. Which gaps? One is cultural gaps, right? Misunderstanding between different people from different languages. So many of the jokes are connected to, I came to a new country and I said this, and this made something different. That is, just ask someone, I can see here people from around the world, ask someone from South Africa and someone from the States about a nappy. And it's a very different, I can see the South African here laughs, because a nappy is a diaper in South Africa, and it's and in the States, it's how do you say? Yeah,
A pacifier. Yeah.
No, so it's
no, it's whatever.
Yeah, so the classical different, and these are materials for many different jokes. The cultural gap, and the other one is, of course, the gap between men and women. Like these are like, so we have all the materials of regular humor goes in here in the joke, and it becomes even more extreme. Like that you have one after the other, more and more layers that comes until the last one, the most extreme, that with the double meaning of the name of Bava and the gate and so on. Now, some of the explanations that were given to this in the past were connected to an element that is very, very much about the gap between Babylon and Israel, which we know historically had lots of meaning. Like rabbis could say like bad things on the rabbi from the other place, look down upon from both sides, right? We know it. Like it's just like we have the debate between Ashkenazi and Sephardi rabbis today, or like the same thing used to be between those from Babylon and those from Israel. This is part of it. But it looks like, to begin with, and this is also part of the joke, that the joke is about this stupid woman. This stupid women, and I can see all the men saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, what an idiot! How can she misunderstand? What did she really think this is what he wanted?" And so this is, you can already hear how all the men in the bar, like we said before, sits and laughs about this stupid women and what they do. Now there is a different direction that comes at some point. There's
Can I just say, it's for me, it's very much the man who's, if you want to use the word stupid, the man speaks in a very like he speaks like slang. You can never expect someone to understand slang. That's culture, exactly like you're saying, Rav. Slang is something that you really have to be on, like, in order to understand slang in a language. I'll give an example. When I'm in Israel and people start speaking too much slang, I stand there like this, like I have no idea what's going on. They could be making fun of me, and I just do a thumbs up because I don't have any idea what's flying.
Yeah.
I'm not following.
It's even worse when the Israelis come and you speak with old slangs, and they look at you as a
right. No, for sure. Like, yeah, or if I speak like I come from the Mishnah, they look at me like, what's wrong with you? But but so that's something that, like, he obviously should think how he communicates something.
Yeah. So one thing you can say, you can think of it the community, but an interesting direction is Bala Eni Yaakov is a Talmud interpreter who explained about this specifically, and he said that here it's actually the one from Babylon who went to Israel and married the local women, and he's supposed to be he married up, like she is from a higher position, and he took this example, this story, to say that from here you should learn: don't marry up. Don't go above your pay grade. Like, you're supposed to marry someone from your same social level. He took it to that direction to say, this is, and he actually can say, and his interpretation opens also to a different direction that I think we should go maybe more towards. That maybe this woman tries to like punish him. So because he's like acting above his
pay grade,
social
above his pay
standards
grade
and such. So that is the direction that he started with, and I think this is definitely very relevant to this part of the story. And saying that, I also think we have to, as we started from the question of the connection to the place we at in the Talmud, this is definitely the first part that the story also gives us, the question of the matter of how you should be careful with words.
Yeah, wow.
Right? Because Masechet Nedarim, the word neder, you remember from Kol Nidrei, right? Which is considered for most of the Jews the most important prayer of the year, even though many rabbis were against it through the years. But for so many people, this is the most important prayer of the year, Kol Nidrei. Kol Nidrei goes to the question of Nedarim. Nedarim are, what are the English word for Neder? It's more than an awe, no. How do you say neder in English?
What's it called? A wow. How do you say it? You give a. Oh, why am I blanking on it?
Glenn, help me here.
A vow, right? A vow.
A vow. Yeah.
Yeah.
A vow, and that is the highest level of something you promise, right? That's the highest level. Yeah, it's above swearing, above lishabah. A vow is like the highest, and this Masechet is very much about how you need to be careful with your wording when you say something. Many traditional Jews, you will see that almost every time they say something that they will do, they will say bli neder, like said, don't take my word. Like I'll try to do my best, but really, my word should not be considered a neder. And they have to say it, because if not, maybe this should be considered like they have to consider and think of every word. Yes, Mattias?
Yeah, but I just want to continue because it's so beautiful in a way. Because what we're saying is that words, like I often say that to my kids, because I believe it's very true. Words are very powerful. In other words, when we say something, it's clear from this Masechta and from a lot of things that it becomes reality. And if you don't, like, when you have said something, once it becomes reality and you don't do it, it's like something is missing in this world, because you're sort of created by saying, like I'm saying, it's such a valuable lesson, how much also words could hurt. Like for me right now, I always take examples from my own life. And for me right now, I have like my kids, Halavai, my kids should also say literally. They say other words that are not so nice. And they don't really understand that those words actually could be hurtful and could be very inappropriate even, and so on and so forth. And we become more sensitive because like some words, Swedish, you say here in Sweden, are not, like here in Sweden, not so bad. But in America, for instance, they would be terrible to say. So words are it's very interesting to see how words could. So I just want to, if I'm allowed to, I sort of want to like backtrack to what Sarah said about the autism thing, because it's so funny. When I read it, I also had that thing that like I meet a lot of people, and some people, and when you meet people, is that some people they take what you say very literally, like they say what you're saying is like this is what you have said, therefore it's very linear and this is what I'm gonna do. And then you have people like, as you're saying, you see that they're analyzing and they're sort of putting into a context and thinking, and here too it's like it's so I'm not sure if she's trying to prove a point, and it's just interesting. I really like sort of I very like the analysis of it, and like it also could show how different different people interact and interpret like what we say.
Yeah, but I also will add, like, it reminds us of the word of Rabbanim Izaru b'divrechem, right? The rabbi, you have to be careful what you say,
Right.
and this is right for every one of us. Like how much every word, first of all, can be missed. And I don't know how many times people I heard of a can give an example. I had I had once in a and then Cecilia will I'll go back to you. I had once a group of the older people of the community, of a secular group, those who came from Poland, and they had an event in the community, and it was really the oldest people of the community who gathered, and they said. And they like suddenly said, oh, we have to gather, all the older men has to come because only the men are allowed to open the wine bottles for the event. And I had like, and then one of the women came to me afterwards and said, can it really be true that you said that it's only the men that are allowed to open wine bottles? And I said, I've never said something. How can what? How did you come to this conclusion? And I tried to understand what was, and then I found out that I told one of the guys that how to say them the tjenestepir,
servants.
Yeah, but like when you say in Danish, tjenestepir. Waitresses. But waitresses in Danish, when you add it, tjenestepir, it's like women. So they thought that the waitresses, who are women, are not allowed to open the bottles. Now, they weren't allowed to open the bottles because they were not Jewish, not because they were women, but they interpreted they understood from what I said that women are not allowed to open it. And they took it literally, what I said. And the problem is with me, not with them. Like, they actually listened to me, which is wonderful. They should get, as Bava and Ben Buddha said it, they should get sachar, some benefit for trying to follow what the rabbi said. I wish more people in the community tried to follow what the rabbi said.
And they were medaic. They made an inference from what you were saying. It's very nice. That's a Yiddish cop. Sometimes it goes the wrong way though, but I love that story.
Yes,
it's so funny because we know. Sorry.
No, there were two people who had their fingers up.
Yeah. I just want to say quickly, we knew here in Stockholm they had a chumrah, a stringency in Denmark that only men are allowed to open the wine bottles.
Yeah, so Cecilia?
Yeah. So another thing that I've kind of noticed in Judaism and learned is that the power of words are very taken seriously and they really mean something. So, for example, when we pray, we need to focus on the pronunciation, on the word, on the language, because the words actually do have power. And it's the same with when we read about like lechon chara. I don't think I pronounced it correctly at all. Yes. But like speaking ill of people or speaking about people is that the words weigh so heavy that if you speak bad about a person, it's the same as killing them. And when it comes to like how do I say it, like language and the power of words, I think another great lesson of like this text, even though it's very funny, and I'm very amazed that it's been like what's it called, like saved in that way, is that it's that it's great. It creates a great lesson on how to use words so that it doesn't cause harm, and sort of be mindful of what you're saying and what directions you're giving a person, because it can lead to misunderstandings and such and so on. And I kind of tied it back to, because I've been thinking about this for a little bit right now, and I kind of tie it back to um, the power of words and the meaning, just in Judaism in general. So that's, yeah.
Great. Thanks. Paulina?
To your Polish story, I'm Polish, and literally, like, also in this text, I was like, this is me. I literally take everything, every single word as it says. So yeah, Polish people not surprised, but I'm just a little bit surprised that no one came up with this perspective that I sit with in my head, that like they just married in this text, and then they are two different people from two different places, and they speak, as you say, different dialects, so they don't understand each other properly. But then what you can see in this text later on, that there is a compromise going on, because at some point they will grow together, hopefully, in order to understand each other better, because that's what relationship and marriage is about. And then it also craves compromises on the way and actually understanding the other person.
Which compromise do you see here?
Like what he says in the end. It's like you did literally what you were
But that the rabbi says that, not the husband.
Okay, then I misunderstood. But then, sorry, because I thought it was him. I was like, that's actually.
I guess the husband gives her another chance, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure that's better. It's like
Yeah, it's nice you give them another. Yeah, Nigal?
Yeah, but thank you, Paulina, for sharing that, because I was thinking about that specific thing about the compromise. And I think that it was actually nice that the rabbi was the one that said it, because he could see it. He could see that, there will be this compromise where they will ultimately get to the point where they will converge to understanding each other, and that this is just like, she's just been, as his wife, she's just been doing what she's been told. And he has been getting upset with her because he hasn't been understanding that she's just been doing what she's told. But then the rabbi could understand, that's what's happening here. And that's why he didn't get mad at her when she slammed, the lamp on his head. So I actually like that it wasn't necessarily the husband that could see it at the moment, but hopefully he will be able to also get to the same perspective as the rabbi at the end and be like, okay, so this is just us misunderstanding each other and not my wife being stupid, which is very something.
Okay. Yeah. So using what you said, and I also seen the comments that some wrote about the beautiful end. I want to ruin everything we said until now. And I want to ruin everything we said until now when we come to the end, because actually none of us can say that this wife misunderstood. How can I prove it from the text? Because of what happened in the end, right? What happened in the end? She goes to the gate. It means she understood exactly what her husband told her. She went to she understood the words. And then when she saw Baba Ben Buta, she saw an opportunity. I can play again. I can continue the game. She knows what the Baba meant, which means that she knew all the way along what she said. And then we can ask ourselves, why is it she is hitting the rabbi if she knows what the gate is? Right? So something here is like we have to, if she knows this, then what if the message, and why does Baba Ben Buta bless her? Like he's supposed to be angry with her. Like if she knows, he told her, like there's something here that he understands in the situation that maybe none of us, I would say it's amazing that he in the situation managed immediately to understand there's something deeper here. When she comes and says, I fulfilled, this is what my husband commanded me. When it's very clearly, she knows this is not what her husband commanded her. And immediately, Baba and Buddha can also hear this. So what? How can we then say and explain this whole story of her doing that? Not only misunderstanding, but explicitly trying, not only trying to misunderstanding, but is trying to change something maybe connected to what you started talking about, the relations between them. And here we can maybe try to see, as you mentioned very nicely, it starts from the marriage, right? This Babylonian guy came and married a woman. And then the first thing we hear, we can see a guy who is quite rude. Like the first thing he does, he comes with demands. Right? He comes to his wife, says, hey, woman, cook me a couple of lentils. And then the next one, like the only thing we hear him say is angry things about what she needs to do. He goes around with orders. Like the only thing we hear this guy say is giving orders. We actually don't see anything else him saying the whole time. Right? So he gives order after order after order after order. And then we also hear that he becomes extremely angry, ratach.
Right.
So we see here someone who shows with not very, like, maybe like she tries to give him a hint.
You could say that, like,
yes,
and then can't we just say simply in the end, she's teaching him a lesson. Like, listen, I'm not so out of it. I know what's going on, and you know what? I'll even show what how I could like sort of learn up the situation, and I go like extreme to show him. After that, very likely the husband like sort of understood. Okay, maybe I should calm down, and like maybe
if we go back to the pub, suddenly these men who sit in the pub and decide that the joke is on them. Like, it's not the women. It's not the woman who didn't understand what her husband said.
Right.
The husband who didn't understand the lesson she was trying to teach him.
Very good.
He comes and tells her, "Come, cook me something," so he cooks. She cooks him exactly the 2 lentils. He was supposed to understand already there. Talk to let's be in a place of dialogue, of speaking, of creating an atmosphere of togetherness in our home.
What he could have done is said, "Good one." He could have applauded it. It's like, "Good one, you got me." Like many,
yes,
like
exactly. He was supposed to do that the first time.
Yeah.
Then instead he became angry,
But
so he goes to the extreme, to the other side. She continues. And he doesn't understand the lesson one after the other. The story gives him 3 chances. That doesn't give her 3 chances to finally understand. It gives him 3 times time to finally understand what she's trying to tell him, to communicate, to talk, to be in a dialogue, to be in a relationship, to create a home together. And then she comes with a say, and then at the end, when she comes and goes to the rabbi and says, Rabbi, what kind of a situation you put me into? This marriage, and I'm not stuck with this Babylonian guy who doesn't understand it, doesn't get any message, and what can I do? And what does Baba Ben Buddha tell her? Which also, like, so some of you will try to be very nice with him, but his wish for her is that God will give him 2 sons like him.
Because he's saying that if you could be so nice to your husband, obviously you're going to be able to also bring up 2 sons. They're also going to be difficult with such chokhmah, with such wisdom.
And maybe this Talmid Chacham tries to show us, because what did he represent here? The only person in this story that was supposed to be very angry was Baba Ben Buddha, because the poor guy, he didn't do anything.
Right.
And he got hit with 2 lamps on his head. And he, instead of being angry, he asked, what is happening with you? The first question that the husband was supposed to ask. He played the one who is humble, the mochel al midotav, and understanding and forgiving. And he says to this woman, I understand the situation you are in, and I'm so sorry for you that you're stuck in a relationship with someone who is so angry, the hot-headed. And I wish for you that you have two sons that are maybe a bit more like me, who can who can try to be compassionate and to understanding and ask you, how are you? Why did you do what you do? Try to understanding who you are. Try to find out what is behind what you do, which was the thing that her husband was supposed to. Yes, Mattias.
Yeah, no, I think that so when you learn Gemara, you're supposed to argue, but I think that's a very beautiful thing that also shows how a person who has worked on himself or herself also always try to figure out what is it that made this person do something like this crazy? What is it that puts a person in this situation? And sometimes you also know when to not do it, but I think that's a very beautiful thing. There's a story like that with Rabbi Akiva. Before he became Rabbi Akiva, he worked for Eliezer ben Hurkanos, and he didn't get paid on time, and there was a lot of crazy things, and he just realized that it was because of this and this and this. So it was medan and kaf schut. In other words, just try to understand that there's to be a reason why this woman behaves like she is a shoite, when obviously she wasn't. I think this is what an incredible story. I feel like we should start learning these stories for people who are going to get married. I feel terrible, but I have to apologize and I have to start going. Rav Jair, it's a pleasure. I'm looking forward so much to seeing all of you next week and continue this. But now I have to say goodbye, go out to the snow. But it's you such good, like, what's it called? Ha'aras, what's it called? It's so nice to hear all of you thinking about it. And Yasher Koach. And Shkoach to Rav Jair, Bezrat Hashem will continue next week.
Yes, we'll continue next week. Thank you, Rabbi Mattias. We'll continue a few minutes now after Mattias leaves.
Bye, everyone. Call to.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Rabbi Mattias told me in advance that he will probably need to leave around 8:15. So I said, we'll find out. We'll try to finish it before he leaves. So we did finish the story, but there's still, I think, place to discuss this very last part of it. Because I think this is also this gap between Baba Ben Buta and the husband regarding asking to why did you do something, which definitely is something. If we started to talk about how important it is to be careful with what we say, it's also extremely important the other part, like trying to ask into why people are doing what they did, where did they come from, doing their deed, and even there understanding what lies behind the words, like what she says here. I did what my husband asked me to. It was much more than that, and he understood it. He can hear it. And I thinking of all the situation. I have now. There's someone who wrote to me some messages the last days about my terrible behave, how I justify the Israeli killing machine, and wrote to me like really the worst thing that you can write about a person, about how I'm the one to legitimate genocide and all of that. And now in this situation, I can start being here now judgmental to her, right? I will start with that, okay? I'll be a bit judgmental. I wrote back to her, I think you assume too much about what I do, with no real knowledge about why and how and what do I say and what do I really believe and stand for. I think you chose to know what I say and stand for, and you never gave me any chance and any like you haven't. I told you I don't think you have any clue about what I stand for and what I believe in and what I do in my life regarding the thing that now I'm. So this is the first part that I told her exactly like I said. You're supposed to not decide where the other one stands, and attack what you think they stand for. But you're supposed to try to understand. So this is the first message. But the second is also to me in this situation. I can point finger at her and be very angry with the very ugly words she used against me. So I can be there. But maybe I'm also supposed to try in this situation, understand where she comes from. And I don't say it to justify her, because I don't think it justified the way she spoke to me. But I also don't think that it justified for Baba Ben Buta to get 2 candles hitting his head. That's I feel that I'm supposed to be in like learning from Baba Ben Buta regarding this, even though I'm like being hit on the head, trying to really understand where she comes from the place she comes from. And again, it won't justify what she does and the way she speaks and all of that. But I think this is the start of the approach that I'm supposed to take to someone that is in this situation of clash. And it's hard. It's not easy because like she really wrote bad things about me in the messages to me and in the newspapers and such. But that's a different story. So what I decided to invite her to a meeting to talk about it. Now I don't know how it will work. I'm looking forward, but I'm reflecting. Like this story really made me reflect also about where do I stand towards this position, because especially me as a rabbi, also I have a position. Not only I have a position by having my position, like without me saying it, just like Baba Ben Buta. It's like Baba Ben Buta is accidentally the person in the wrong time, in the wrong place, the wrong time. He plays a role. It's not about him. It's about the role he was supposed to play. That also the role that many times I feel as a rabbi, just like probably many of you, when people meet me, one of the first things that I meet many times is as people apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't come to Shiur, I didn't come to prayers, I didn't come to, like, people, when they see me, I'm automatically their bad conscience. and usually my reaction is like you don't need to apologize to me, but I understand that in my position, regardless of what I think and what I am, because of my position, it means something for them. So I become their bad conscience, not me. That's my position, and in that element, I feel also that I have like I'm supposed to be in the role of Baba and Buddha, and don't take it personally what is happening to me, but see also me in my role, in my position. Yes, Pauline.
I'm really happy you're talking about it, because I was at my psychologist for a therapy session before this Beit Midrash, and it's something that I think about a lot recently. I think, of course, it comes from like cultural differences as well, but the more I grow up, the more I realize, and I call it diplomacy, like you have to let people be whatever they want with their thoughts, because everybody has a context and their own perspective they kind of understand things from, and they speak from, and then it's maybe not about you, it's about their understanding of you, how they would talk to you, like this girl that is talking to you from her imagination of who you are. And then you just have to be diplomatic and say like, okay, but it's like, this is me and I know me, and then there's your context as well, and I have an understanding for it, but I just don't have to get emotional about it or like take it personally. And then I call it diplomacy, and I'm working with it a lot as a person recently. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a huge work that we all need to do also for the time. I feel all the time that I'm also there's a whole year this year I'm trying to how does it, like there's so many fires that I'm like try to start like every time from a different perspective, and most of the time, in almost all my debates and everyone I speak to, I have to explain someone to them. Like when I speak to people in the community or people in Israel, I have to explain left-wing activists or Palestinians or Muslims. I have to explain and when I speak to some of that my friend in the Muslim communities or left, I need to explain to them what Israel is like. I almost never say what I think, but like all the time I have to convert and explain what is it the other said and where did they come from, which is like the first thing we need enable for us to be able to speak and to come to some kind of I don't know if to a solution, but first of all of understanding. But because what happened right now is that we don't understand at all, and then we add maybe the best example of what happened now, because we can all very clearly see it when we see people in the demonstrations shout different things and believe in the different things, and we can't see it out of what we know of the situation. Because what happened usually, the reason so many Jews in the community think that all these demonstrations are anti-Semites is because they're saying, how can you do that knowing that what happened on October 7th? So how can you? The only explanation is that you support it. Like you can't. Like there's no other logical explanation. This is what we know about you. Well, the other part say that how can you support how can you stand and support Israel when you know that Israel makes genocide right now? Now, and I'm not going to the political argument about what is right. It's not at all the case. I'm saying that they can't hear the other because the conversation doesn't even start. Maybe a bit like this man who can't start the conversation and only act to the deed and not to what lies behind it. So we interpret what the other does out of what we know and not out of what he knows. And I'm not saying that our knowledge or their knowledge is the right one, but we interpret their actions out of our knowledge. And this is not the reality. So when we hear, for example, I will take the most extreme. No one can in any way say that I support another October 7th, right? I hope no one think here that I support. And when people in some societies start saying that October 7th was a heroic act, we are terrified, right? Because how can you say something like that on a terror attack, killing, raping? Like, what's wrong with you as a person? Like, how mad can you be? But even in this extreme situation, someone who we have to understand and able to see what his point, we have to understand when he says October 7th, what he means. Because among other things, among many Muslims, the knowledge, and for them it's a knowledge, it's not the opinion. The knowledge they have is that October 7th was only an attack against soldiers. And it was a legitimate act of fighting,
Resistance?
Of resistance against an occupier. And I have to admit, if it was an attack only against military, I would have much less claim about how bad I will feel hurt because my family and friends are soldiers. I will be hurt, but it's not as illegitimate as terror. Also, the Haganah did attacks against British soldiers and such, because that is part of fight for freedom. We can discuss the different things, but it's not as bad as what happened October 7th. The problem is that for this person is that for the person who supported, they think that is the only thing that happened. This is their truth. So when they say we support October 7th, they don't say we support rape of women, kidnapping of civilians, and now we can talk about how far they are from reality. Like that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. But we have to understand where they stand to be able to start communicating, to be able to in some ways manage together in a society. We have to understand where they come from, and then we can start working on. But maybe it's not complete. Like able to come to the next level of trying to solve the issues and find out what the truth behind it. We have to know where they stand. Only after that we can start working. And that is the tradition I have for everything we do. It's right also in smaller conflict. We all have in families and in work relationships. It's the same thing. It's very extreme when we talk about the conflict, but then it's easier to see it. But it's the same thing every time. Try to see the situation from the other perspective, where they come from, and maybe try to be a bit more like Baba Ben Buta and compassionate. And of course, they also need to know where, I don't know if we stand, but where every one of us as individuals, because it's not necessarily that we have a we as a collective, but where every one of us stand and it's the same thing about them. Like it's not where all of them, but every one of them, understanding their stories, understanding every individual story to know where they come from is crucial to be in a good relationship. We need to do that in all the connection that we have in life, in the society, in the community, in the family. I really believe that this is a key that we need more Baba Ben Butas who try to see the other from the place they are. So let's try to work on that. Start from there. This will be our how we can fight to make the situation better. Start from that. What we can do. Good. So thank you for the lesson today, and we'll have some other Agadah for next week, and the next couple of weeks until Hanukkah.
Thank you very much.
תודה רבה.
תודה רבה, thank you.
Thank you.
ערב טוב לכולם.
תודה רבה, היה מעניין. הסיום שלך היה טוב.
תודה.
Laila Tov, thank you.